This is the Valve Index. It was the first VR headset that I ever owned, and I would argue that when this released in 2019, it was the best all-around PCVR headset that you could buy and continued to be so for years. And what I mean by that is for the time, it had good lenses and resolution, good FOV, great refresh rate, a great microphone, and fantastic audio. But over time, as VR tech improved, the okay lenses and resolution on the Valve Index did become dated and kind of bad. So eventually I decided it was time for an upgrade and moved on to this, the Bigscreen Beyond 1, and more recently, the Bigscreen Beyond 2. And with the Beyond 2, I think it's the closest PCVR has gotten to matching that good all-rounder headset, just like the Valve Index was. It has great lenses and resolution, good FOV, an okay refresh rate, and a great microphone. But in my opinion, one area where the Bigscreen Beyond is a bit lacking compared to the Index is the audio. Plus, the audio strap is a paid add-on with the Beyond. So wouldn't it be amazing if we could take the audio system from the Index and just stick it on the Beyond 2? Well, that's exactly what I've done today thanks to the Project BeyondEX kit. And so in this video, I want to show you guys the process of me putting this kit on the Beyond 2, as well as testing out the audio to see if it's as good as I remember it being. Basically, my goal for this video is to inform anyone that already has a Beyond if this kit is worth picking up. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with the setup and putting this thing together, which was actually pretty easy. It only took me about 35 minutes total. I bought the BeyondEX DIY mod kit and it arrived with pretty much everything I needed inside. The only thing that I had to supply myself was a Phillips screwdriver head. First, I had to take the audio strap off of the Index, which turned out to be incredibly simple. All I had to do was remove 3 screws and it was off, which I personally think shows how well engineered the Index was. Gotta love Valve and their right to repair. Then when it came time to putting the DIY kit onto the audio strap, that was actually pretty easy as well. First, I had to screw in the strap mount attachments and then run the cables up the sides, first using vinyl tape to hold them in place, and then the rest of the way up by stuffing the cables in between the plastic frame and the cushion up to the middle of the strap. Then using zip ties, I strapped the control box down to the back of the head strap and cut the ends off so the zip ties sit flush. Then the final step is actually a slight adjustment to the Beyond, where I removed these 2 screws so I could attach this little 3D printed clip to the Beyond, which is for the Index's top strap. And with that, all you have to do is put the Beyond and the Index together. Loop the top strap, plug in the USB-C cable, and hey presto, now I have a completed BeyondEX. And this is the result. I'm honestly really impressed with how clean this kit looks. I think if I were to show this to someone that hadn't seen a Valve Index before, they'd probably think this is an official audio strap for the Beyond, as it really doesn't look like a mod. With all the wires hidden and tucked away, the BeyondEX feels really durable and not fragile. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna be just like throwing this thing around, but I also don't have to be super careful with it, which is something I was worried about. Basically, you can use and handle this as if it were an official strap, and I think that just goes to show how well thought out the BeyondEX is. I also think it's quite funny how if you put the speakers like this and then place the BeyondEX down, the whole headset almost sits upright. It's almost like the BeyondEX is kind of like flexing and like puffing its chest out, being like, look at me, I'm badass. And I know that's me just being a massive nerd, but I just kind of think it looks cool. But by far, the best thing about the building of the BeyondEX is that it's completely non-destructive. So if I wanted to, I could completely disassemble this thing, do the steps in reverse and put the audio strap back on the Index, and there would be absolutely no damage done to either the Valve Index or the Bigscreen Beyond. Pretty great. Anyways, with the BeyondEX made, it was time for me to actually try the thing and see how it sounds. For this, I went into Pavlov and No Man's Sky. First using the Beyond's audio strap and then again with the BeyondEX for comparison. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not really an audiophile, so I can't talk to the technicalities of how these 2 different speakers systems sound, but I definitely prefer the Index's audio system over the Beyond's. I don't know what black magic Valve did with this, but to me, when using the BeyondEX, it sounds more surround soundy. Especially in Pavlov, when I was shooting the walls and the different surfaces, it just sounded like there was more definition between each of the different sound effects going on when using the BeyondEX when compared to the Beyond strap. And like I said earlier, I don't think that the Beyond audio strap is bad. I actually think it's quite good, but it's just that the Index's audio is amazing. For example, one of my big gripes with the Beyond strap is that every time you put it on, you have to first move the speakers up above the plastic to then put it on, because otherwise your ears catch on the speakers. But with the BeyondEX, as the speakers are off ear, that problem no longer exists. Hey guys, Future Ryan here. I wanted to quickly insert this part into the video because I was watching back my footage in editing and I kind of wasn't happy with the fact that I basically just said, yeah, it kind of just feels like it sounds better. I didn't really like that. It's not very useful for you guys, so I decided to do a little bit bigger. Hang on, let me just shoot this guy. Yeah, I got him! But I decided to do a bit more research into why the Valve Index audio strap sounds better to me than the Beyond audio strap. And what I found was actually kind of interesting. So with the way that human ears work, they're designed to interpret 3D audio. So all the folds and stuff in the ear help your brain interpret where noise is coming from. So for example, right, if there was someone sneaking up behind me in real life and they made a noise, the noise would travel past my ear, it'd hit the ear fold, and then go into my ear, and my brain would be able to interpret that as someone being behind me. And so basically when you have something like AirPods or like the Bigscreen Beyond audio strap, where it's pressed right up against your ear, you're kind of losing a bit of that physical 3D audio because it's pressed up right against the ear and the sound is going straight into your ear hole. But because the Valve Index audio strap is off ear, as you can see, what that basically means in theory is when you're playing a game like this, Aces of Thunder, and you're flying past stuff, you're shooting stuff, planes are flying by you, my brain should be able to interpret that 3D audio better with this headset because it's off ear than other headsets that aren't off ear. Anyways, I thought that was kind of cool. I'm gonna crash into this mountain now so we can continue with the video. Now, having said all of this, there is one particularly big trade-off that comes with using the Index audio strap over the Beyonds. The Bigscreen audio strap weighs 123 grams, and if we compare that to the Indexes with the mod kit attached, it weighs just over double that at 331 grams. Now, for me personally, I didn't find this to be a massive issue because the weight gets evenly distributed across your head, but I will admit that the BeyondEX kit does make this headset feel a tad bit more clunky compared to the near weightlessness of the Beyond's audio strap. Because as you can clearly see, it's just larger. Now, the last factor that could influence you on buying this is the pricing. The Bigscreen Beyond audio strap comes in at £119, and the DIY kit that I bought cost me £82, but I already had a Valve Index here at home, so I could just use the audio strap from that. But what if you're not like me and you don't already have an Index strap? Well, you have a couple of options. On the BeyondEX's website, you can actually buy a Valve Index audio strap with the mod kit already attached, so you don't have to do any work at all, but it does cost £209. So that is a fair bit more expensive than if you were just to buy the Beyond's audio strap, but with that extra cost, you're getting, in my opinion, the best VR audio you can get. Alternatively, you could buy an Index audio strap either from eBay or from Tundra Labs for £75, and then you could do what I did, buy the DIY kit, and that would bring the price down to £157. Or if you have and trust your 3D printer, you can actually buy the board and the wires by themselves, and then you 3D print the backplate and the connectors yourself. And that would then cost £67, which brings the price down even more. Basically, you have quite a few options if you'd be interested in picking this up. So yeah, that is Project BeyondEX. I think this thing is awesome and absolutely worth the money. Especially if you're someone like me that upgraded from the Valve Index and your Valve Index is just sitting there gathering dust, buying the DIY kit for this, in my opinion, is a no-brainer. So if you're looking for the best of the best all-in-one audio system for your Beyond and don't mind compromising a little bit on the weight, in my opinion, it doesn't get better than this. I know that I'm personally going to be using this on my Beyond 2 from now on, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.